All right, folks, another Tuesday, another pod. Last week we saw 6 members on the pod. This week it's just man-to-man, one-on-one. Me and Jay Chatty. We had some good laughs last week, Chadwick. You're back by popular demand, I think. That was like our best podcast in weeks.
I do miss the bed, I will say.
You missed the bed. The bed was comfortable. It got a little warm in there with 8 or 9 people in that one hotel room, but it was pretty comfortable, I will say. But yeah, back home now. Road trips are done for a little while, back in Michigan. And going to be a good episode. So this is the Pipe It Up podcast. Cue the intro. Jason, are you ready to talk about your sorrows here? A sorrowful season that it was.
I've had a while to think on it, so I think it's time to unveil the feelings to the fans.
So sometimes it can be good to reflect and get it off your chest. You know, maybe vent a little bit. We've had plenty of people, including myself, do that on the show from time to time.
This is the second year in a row. We haven't even gotten into late August, and I'm already venting about my feelings.
This is the second year in a row. Well, so last year there was hope for the Gators going into Slate 5, right? Because they acquired you.
Yeah.
I think you needed to win at least 2 against the Cats.
Yeah, we needed to win 2, and then it very low likelihood, but we still had a chance. Yeah.
Well, we'll get into all that today because I think definitely a lot of fans, specifically Gators fans, are probably a little bit upset, rightfully so. I mean, I feel them as a Lions fan, as a Tigers fan. It's never fun when your team's losing. It can be rough. You always want to point fingers, who to blame, why it's going wrong, but it's just the reality sometimes. And definitely has not been a fun year for you guys. Although, I will say, you guys came into the year confident, it seemed like, and your margin of defeat was never very big. So I did feel bad for you guys at times.
I will say real quick that this year did feel a lot different than the last year's Magic team. I mean, the last year's Magic team, we were just getting trounced on a weekly basis. I mean, we were just getting drilled, but this year was at least a little more competitive.
So you don't want to hear the comparisons between the 2022 Magic and the 2023 Gators. Is that what I'm hearing?
No. This year's Gators team, I think, would do some damage to last year's Magic team.
Oh my gosh, that's the matchup we need to see. If there was like a video game, MLW, you simulate a game between the Magic and the Gators, Magic of last year and this year's Gators. The question is, are you on both rosters? I see one common factor here, Jason.
Oh, trust me. I've seen a lot of comments with one common factor, so I've heard that one before.
That's not fun. I feel for you. You got eliminated twice last year, once this year. I mean, you've played in how many postseasons? I guess the Magic were on a streak there for a little while when you first joined the league.
Yeah, I'm 2 for 4 in making postseasons now.
Yeah, could be worse, maybe. I don't know. Is there a player that with a worse percentage? I'm not quite sure, to be honest.
I don't know. I'm pretty low right now.
You're down there. 50's not great.
I'm pretty low on my wiffle ball self-esteem. So,
well, I was gonna ask because, like you said, you guys came into the year more confident, and it did feel different compared to last year's Magic. I felt like you guys did have a chance entering every single series, and you guys came out firing. You know, you beat the Magic big when Grant pitched in the first game of the year. But did you ever feel the shift in energy towards the wrong end of the spectrum? Was there a moment in time, you think, or just a gradual tear of the Band-Aid?
I think it was a very gradual downfall, and then the game 2 against the Diamondbacks, I feel was just the sword in our throat. We were 1 pitch away from tying up that series. Chris just fell over. I don't even know what happened on that play, but I think that was the game that really put a knife into our side right there. Yeah.
You know, I'm making a piece of content tomorrow reflecting on the Gators' hardships, and I watched that play back today and was looking to use some footage from it, but there's a clip in particular, I guess I can even throw it up right now, where there wasn't really too much sulking going on, a lot of disappointment out there for sure, and then Chris kind of slowly walked off the field, but then it just kind of pans, and you're just near the mound, just hands on your knees, looking down. And I was just thinking,
me and Jordan. I remember watching me and Jordan. We both just put our hands on our head, just looking up at the sky, why is this our life right now? Type thing.
I mean, yeah, but even then, so that's what I'm saying. And I've been there too on bad teams, and I've kind of always felt the same way. Like we're not that far off. Like I feel like you put us in the postseason next, like we could do
Yeah.
some damage, but we can't win a game for whatever reason. Because you're referencing that moment as like the shift in energy, but at that point, you guys were already the 3-5, 3-6 ish,
Yeah, we would
somewhere
have
in there.
been,
So like you were
yeah,
already
like,
down.
yeah, I think at that, yeah, I think we were 2-6 at that
Yeah,
point because we won one against the Eagles.
yeah. So regardless, I also thought about that moment for sure as a tough one because you never know. Seasons can change based on
Yeah.
one play, and I kind of knew you guys weren't going to go out there and win the third game after that. After that heartbreaker,
I
but
remember, I remember game 3. I think Chris like struck out the side in the top of the first. We didn't say a word. Like we just put our head down and walked to the
just
dugout. Like it was the most just depressing 1, 2, 3 inning I've ever been a part of on a team. Like we just did not even want to be there at that point.
well, I also thought about too today when I was writing these questions up and thinking about what I wanted to ask you. I feel like a big deflator for you guys was actually that first day because you came
Yeah,
out so confident and so ready, and like there was some hostility in the air between you guys and Curdy because you
yeah,
left the team and then playing
yeah,
them the first series. It was a highly anticipated matchup, and
yeah.
then facing RJ, right, the young kid who'd never pitched before. I feel like getting shut out by him and getting dominated by him could not have been great for the overall confidence of the squad.
No, like we have never seen the kid before. And mind you, I don't know if people know this. When he was warming up, like he probably threw
Oh, people
40.
know this. We've talked about this.
Yeah, like literally, and me, Chris Jorge, and Zerlager in the back. We're just like, dude, this kid, like, he can't find a strike zone right now. We were so confident, and then yeah, the rest is history. Yeah, but we were like so like upbeat about ourselves after that game 1 against the Magic. And then we saw, oh, we got a 14-year-old on the mound now. Like this is like dinner time.
That's probably your first mistake right there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That wasn't a very good start to the year for sure.
No, I agree. But I do think, like I said, you guys have been competitive, if I can say that, just not finding ways
Yeah,
to win games. 3-9 is not where you want to be out of the postseason already. You guys got to play us in a couple weeks, put on a brave face, and go out there and just get
this
through
is
it, I guess.
this is gonna be my first ever like meaningless series in the MLW, and I don't know how to
Well,
feel about
it's
it.
not meaningless for me, I'll tell you that right now.
No, not for you
But
guys, but for me it is.
yeah,
For me it is.
but
You know what? I'm just gonna go out there and have fun with my brothers. That's what it's
that's
all
true. Those are
about.
your best friends. Come on, those are your best friends.
That's
Well,
what it's
how
all
have
about.
they? I can kind of get Chris's mood and his energy from seeing him out there, and I've seen Jorgie frustrated too. But
Yeah,
uh, what's Jorgie? Because like Jorgie's had a pretty good year, right? I mean,
yeah,
if you
yeah,
guys were winning games and his win loss record was better on the mound with how high his average is and his power
yeah.
numbers, like low key, he could be like an MVP candidate. I don't see it
No,
happening because of the record. But
seriously, he could
has he
be.
been a good sport about it, or is he down on you guys a bit?
No, I mean he's been like fine. Like I think he just wanted to come into the year and just get better than he was last year. Obviously, he's done that. I mean, there's been a few moments where I think he threw a couple bats in the Diamondback series.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of like how he is. Like if you know Jorgie, he's super super competitive and has a really high temper when it comes to competitiveness. So it's kind of just who he is.
Yeah, I mean you've known him for longer than I have. I feel like he's usually a pretty calm and collected guy, but I think that was a moment, like I said, where he's been so good and just the record being what it is, it's
Yeah.
probably pretty tough.
Yeah,
But
I think that he had like struck out, I think like 5 or 6 straight ABs against the Diamondbacks. And
mhm.
I think he just like chased a bad pitch and the frustration got to him. He heaved the bat over the center field wall, but that was about
Kyle tried to brighten the mood a bit by putting some sound effects behind those clips. But what about Zerlag? We haven't really talked much about Zerlag on this show because I
no.
interview you guys a
Hmm.
lot, and you guys are all
Yeah.
friends, so I hear a lot about you, Jorgensen, Cheetam. But
Yeah.
what's going on with Zerlag? I feel like he's had a quiet year too after kind of being a steadily improving player.
Hmm.
He has not looked like himself out there this
Yeah.
year.
I think it's honestly just a product of like the league getting so much better. Like he's up at school all year, so I know it's not really easy for him to like come down and practice with us. So he doesn't really have much of a way to like get swings in the wintertime. Um, so I think it was a product of that, and every pitcher we face now is just kind of dominant in their own way. So I think it's just kind of tough on him at this point.
I see very similar to Daniel Schultz, who came out and struggled this year early.
Yeah.
It was good to see Dan hit the ball a little bit against you guys. Sorry it was you, the punching bag, but
It's great. It was great.
it was good to see. Come on, as a fan of the game, as a fan of the league, seeing Dirty Dan hitting some homers finally. Those were his first 2 of the year.
Yeah.
I was happy for him.
I didn't realize those were his first 2 homers of the year. I had no idea.
He's been quiet. He had Zach way at the
I
top
had
of that
no
order.
idea
Zach's
those
been
were.
great, but
I had no idea, to be honest with you.
they're quietly kind of surging here as of late. They took down the
Yeah.
Cobes 2 out of 3, and then take you guys down 2 out of 3. They're a team that scares me a little bit moving into the postseason, just because we've seen them at times last year like look like the best team. They were I think 8-1 at the break last year, looked unbeatable, swept us. So I'm not sleeping on them at all as a squad. I know Dan's been quiet, and their secondary arm's kind of up in the air a bit. Blade's sort of settling into that role, but he hasn't really pitched enough yet for us to know anything. What'd you see from Blade? He's a newer guy. Not many people.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he shoved against me. I think I was like 0 for 5 against him. He's like the modern.
That was the game 2 stat book I sent you, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I forgot that was Blade. Guys, I was doing the data entry of the stats on Thursday before the video came out, and I opened the stat book, the Mr. Schultz stat book, to page 2 of the series, and it's I think Chris and Cheetam 2-3 in the batting order, and it's just Ks filled out on the whole sheet. You guys were both like 0 for 3 with 3 Ks or something like that.
Yeah, he's like, I feel like most like young pitchers like Trey, RJ, Jackson, all of them have like a really hard drop, and then kind of like a secondary pitch to go along with it. So like Blade has a slider, and like those really hard drops like are so hard to hit at times if they locate them. And he was really good against us. I think he only walked a couple of guys, only allowed 1 hit maybe. So I thought he was definitely improvement from what Dan's shown this year. So if they can rely on him in the playoffs, I think they have a really good 1-2.
I think, like you said, the younger guys have that overhand sort of straight down drop ball 12-6 like Blade has. We're definitely in a new era of pitching. It was like when I was first playing, when I came back into the league, it was pretty much slider, riser, and then some guys had like a pretty drastic, like gypsy drop, or Jim had his like 12-6 curveball that he spun. But like these are just like right out of the hand, just firm.
Yeah,
it's those and 2 seams now.
That's how it was when I came to the league in 2020. Like it was literally just like Cratch was throwing all slider, Jimmy was throwing sliders. You were able to pitch then.
You can't get away with that anymore.
No. I remember you would throw a slider. All I threw was slider riser. Like I don't know. Like it's crazy looking back at videos from my rookie year to like see how different pitchers are now.
I know everyone always talks about the production value of like when they watch back old videos, like, oh my gosh, it's so much better now. But I think the quality of play goes unnoticed a little bit, specifically on the pitching side.
Yeah, I'm not trying to like throw shade at some of the older guys, but like some of the new kids now that are like RJ, like 14 years old, compared to some of the guys like in the league when got into the league, like it's not even close. Like it's not even remote. Like the worst guy on a roster in today's MLW would be a good player on a lot of teams back in 2020.
Yeah, I think back to my glory days on the mound, and I'd like to think that I could hang like in present day at my best, but I don't know. Like I said, I was a slider. I was like a 2-pitch guy. I had like a slider, a sidearm slider, and then I had like variations of the drop, and I could locate good, but I didn't have the 2-seam. I didn't really have like a quick slide drop or anything. My riser was never very good, so I think I'd be pretty mediocre, to be honest.
Yeah, that's how I was the last couple of years, and like I could tell every year I was just getting worse and worse, and it was kind of just like, okay, I need to either revamp or do something. But like that's why I think Cratch is so good. Like if you watch Cratch in 2020 compared to what he throws now, like it is such a difference.
Yeah, I agree. You got to evolve, and I was gonna try to. I kind of did, and I still am a little bit, but like I remember when we got eliminated from the playoffs in 2021. I think that was the first year that I missed. We missed back-to-back postseasons. No, 2020 and 2021 we missed. Was 2020 the year where like it was like a really neck and neck standings? I think it was.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah, that was like
in the NL.
yeah, the Eagle wait, who won that now? The Gators. The Gators win it?
Oh no, so it was the Eagles won the NL in the regular season, but the Gators won it all.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was 8-7, 8-7, 8-7, 7-8.
Yeah,
the Mallards at 7-8.
that's didn't she get swept to like miss the
We
playoff?
choked so bad. We choked so
Yeah.
bad. We lost. So yeah, all we had to do was win one game against the D-backs. The
Yeah.
D-backs back then was Norp, Ben Wilson, Heath had started to play a little bit,
Yeah.
and they had from Holly, Gavin Nareski. So that was
Yeah.
Norp's rookie year, and he really wasn't like the captain of the squad yet. But
No.
we had to beat them one time, and we did not beat them once. But even then, we still had a chance to make it if the Gators were to beat the Eagles. I think 2 out of 3.
Yeah.
And Dan goes out there and hits a walk-off home run in one of the games to sink our ship. But
I remember that. That's when like the D-backs were like 1-8. And then they faced
then Norp started to figure it out.
Yeah, they faced the Gators when Jorgie had COVID or whatever
Yes.
it was, and they just smashed.
Yeah, we really got – it was some unfortunate events for us that year. I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
We are where we are now, and I'm confident in our abilities this year. But
yeah.
Yeah, so like you said, the D-backs were 1 and whatever, and we were like decent, and then we just like lost, I think, 5 of our last 6 games, including 3 losses to the D-backs.
Yeah.
So we totally choked. What I was going to say, though, is I remember being like super upset and obviously not very happy that we missed the playoffs and thinking to myself, like, I really got to evolve my game as a pitcher like next year. I started to work on that. It just didn't work out, I guess. I don't know.
No.
Like I said, my mechanics have never been the same since baseball. But I think Ryan has probably done the best job at that. I can't think of anybody else who's probably remotely close. Dallas, people have made changes, but not like Ryan has.
I think he's like the only one. Like Kyle's still going strong, but from like 2020, he's like the only one that's like my rookie year that's still like just as good as he was when I got into the league.
Yeah, he's a good pitcher. I think he still plays college baseball. I'm telling you, the baseball thing helps.
I know.
That definitely helps. It's got to help keep your arm and body in shape.
It does. Like my swinging times this year, I mean, I started off the year like super slow than this year. And like, this is my first year without baseball in the wintertime. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think that's why we make the joke, like me and you, when we're out there struggling, like, God, it's a young man's game, I think. Because, well, the young guys have time. First of all, a lot of them play baseball. And then a lot of them, like in the summers, don't have jobs or anything like that. Like RJ's so young, just turned 15. Like he probably has a lot more time this summer to go out there and play with his friends. Like we used to every day. We used to play every single day wiffle ball in Kyle's front yard at Colts Field.
Yeah.
So it definitely favors the kids, man. They play a lot more than we do. We got to go out there and try to hold our own as these old guys.
Also, just their bones, man. Their bones are just so younger than ours.
Yeah, we get sore. We're slow. We're lethargic. We're tired from a long day at the office.
Yeah, I can't walk upstairs without my right ankle cracking every step. Like it's getting bad.
My ankle's been cracking every step since I was like 6. So
yeah,
I've asked the doctor about it before, and they said it's fine. But every step I take, my ankle like pops on both sides. Both of them do.
Yeah.
I used to turn in tests. I can recall several times. Remember when the Nike Roche phase was a huge thing? Every kid wore Roches. Well, so I had a pair of Roches when I was probably in like, I don't know, 10th grade, 11th grade, somewhere in there. And those things are like socks. Like there's not a whole lot to them. There's not a whole lot of support there. It's basically like you're walking around barefoot. And I remember having to like stand up and turn in an exam. Like my teacher would have like a little bin. You'd like walk up and put your like bubble sheet and your booklet in to turn in your test. And it was dead quiet in the room. I was one of the first ones done. And like every step I took, my feet were just clicking my ankles. And everyone's like looking around like, what is that? Like, is that your feet? And I'm like, no. But it was, I found it awkward. I don't know if anybody noticed, but I feel like they definitely did because the room was so silent. My ankles were cracked every step I walked across that room.
That's what would happen. Did you ever play Heads Up 7-Up as a kid?
Oh, you were probably a dead giveaway. You couldn't play that game. I forgot that game existed.
I was. You like literally. You would just hear my ankles cracking as I walked away after touching your body, and it was just like, I wonder that.
Gotta be honest. I think I used to cheat in Heads Up 7-Up. I'm pretty sure everybody was cheating.
Yeah, like you look at shoes, socks.
Yeah, well, so you're supposed to put your head. Well, you're supposed to put your head face down on the desk. Well, yeah, I would just like use my arm and look through the gap in like my elbow.
Yeah,
and then you could see people's shoes. Then it'd just be a dead giveaway. You're out there like, I think it is Nick when you knew the whole time, but you gotta play it off like you weren't cheating.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've been there. I've been there. Those times, man. Sometimes I reminisce about middle school activity days.
The games. I don't remember many games besides Heads Up, 7 Up, to be honest.
Yeah.
A good Kahoot you can never beat. I mean, that was like a high school thing.
I
for
did.
me, but I'm sure
I
people
played
do it now
Kahoot a
younger.
couple times in college.
Well, you went to a smaller school.
Yeah, we had like a massive
dog it on the dogs here.
we had like 27-person Kahoots in our biggest lecture. Yeah. I think my biggest lecture
like
hall
400-person Kahoots.
I think my biggest lecture was maybe 30 people in college.
That was your biggest?
Yeah.
I think some of my first year courses, like the ones that everyone has to take, like a lot of kids have to take regular like college chemistry.
Yeah.
That one was probably like 250, 300.
Yeah, I would just get nervous.
Most of my engineering lectures were like 120, 150.
Ugh.
They weren't quite as big. You said you get nervous?
I'd start sweating in front of that many people.
You're not like up there in front of a class. You're just sitting. It's basically like sitting in an auditorium watching a show. Like
what sucks about what sucks about Adrian is because the lectures are so small. They still like cold call on people like they would in high school.
Yeah, it doesn't happen at MSU.
Yeah, it would suck, dude. Like suck.
I bet it would.
It was awful. Awful.
Back to wiffle ball here a little bit. What's going to keep Gators fans at ease here over the next couple weeks to even maybe the off season if nothing happens? Like no picks next year, no new personnel coming in unless you guys make some moves.
No.
What should they expect to see? What can they be at least somewhat optimistic about?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I would say is like it's so easy in this league to go from worst to first. Like it's not like it isn't.
Is it easy? I don't know if it is.
I mean, I think it's very doable.
It's doable.
Didn't you guys win the NL last year?
We won that. Yeah, we did. Okay, fair.
Okay, the last 2 years we've had a worst to first.
The worst to first happened because I had a number 1 overall pick.
Yeah.
And the Magic had a top 2 pick. They ended up flip-flopping with us, and it worked out for them because the RJ thing was such a steal, too, on top of getting Grant. But you don't have that right now. So
no.
What's I going to do?
We've been in communication.
Are you guys talking about it at least? Are you talking about it at least?
We've been in Bali on vacation for about a month now. So we've had plenty of time to think of some things, but I'll tell you, we're definitely not going into the season with the same roster we did this year. That's a guarantee.
Okay.
I'll say that.
You gotta add something or someone.
Yep. There will be something along the lines.
When I'm looking at it, I'm saying, well, they have no draft pick here. You don't have that much trade capital unless you send Georgie away, but that would be tough, man. Sending away like your only. This is tough, mean to you, but you're currently your only like player with a lot of production. It'd be tough to trade him away. So that would surprise me. Not saying it's impossible for the deadline, but it would surprise me. But I just don't know how you're going to get that draft capital unless you move him or move multiple guys. Like it could be a very different Gators team if you do go for a pick next year.
It's I'll say it the other day. It's a business.
It is a business, but that's tough for me too because I'm thinking about it like logically and like you guys are all friends, so I'm like, how are they gonna make this happen?
I think everyone knows that Georgie would give us really the only return that would like increase our chances to be successful next year, adding multiple players, maybe a pick. So if it did come down to that. We'll still be friends.
Okay.
So,
what would you personally? What would you rather have? Would you rather go after an existing player in the league, old or young, or would you rather go for a draft pick and start the clean slate with somebody?
It depends what
this
pick
is about
it
you,
is.
not the Gators.
I mean, it definitely depends, like what pick it is. Like if it's a young player that we could start right away, I'd rather have that over like the 8th pick. Obviously, I know like the 8th pick, it's super unpredictable with the MLW draft, especially. But I mean, see, that's tough. Probably an early draft pick. Someone we can build a foundation around. That's probably what we would go after.
I'm trying to think of who might have them because I think you guys right now are looking like you may have earned the Gators place, like a number 1 draft pick. However, I believe your pick belongs to the Wildcats. Is that correct?
Yeah, Wildcats.
So that's someone you could try to go after potentially. But in my opinion, the Cats could use a breath of fresh air. That's just my opinion, but
Yeah.
I know they're still a pretty solid team. They swept us, so that might be a tough one to squeeze out of them. We'll see. Kyle is known to make moves, though.
Yeah.
And then beyond them, number 2 would be like, I guess we're still too early. Too early to tell still.
Whoever sneaks out of the playoffs.
Could be Preds, could be Cobes, could be Eagles, could be a lot of different people. And then, like I said, the Predators, in my opinion, too need a draft pick. They haven't added anybody new in forever either, so that would be another tricky trade.
I will say they kind of have. I'm not going to say they've been bad at drafting, but some of their draft picks have been a little questionable.
I can't remember if I defended the Longman draft pick on this podcast yet or not. I probably have, but if you didn't hear me the first time, I will say, yeah, if we're going to look at Preds draft picks, like the first ever draft, they had the last overall pick, so that one's kind of like James Swanson,
kind of a wash.
Who's actually been around a lot. Swanson's honestly for a number 8, like our number 7, whatever he was. Yeah, he's been around. He's dedicated. I think it's not a bad pickup.
No.
But then after him, it was Rudy. Rudy has not been great over the years. However, did have a good series in the last outing against the Wildcats. We'll see if he can continue that moving forward. So that's kind of another iffy one there, which he was a decently high pick, I believe. I think he was middle of the draft.
Yeah.
Then they had the Mac Hawley pick. That's the one that you can really point a finger at and say wasn't a great idea.
Yeah.
Because I think McGlade was a free agent, actually, they got.
He was.
Hawley they actually drafted.
Yeah.
McGlade has proven to be more successful than Hawley. Hawley's like on their reserves right now, not even on the team.
Yeah.
Just a decision that was made, I think, with too much emotion, not enough logic. He's another buddy of like Ryan's and Steve's at Alma College where they played baseball at. So that one didn't work out for him. But Jake Longman, a lot of guys, of course, like aren't at all the tournaments, don't have all the scouting reports. So Kyle and I, really Kyle, like tries to outline the talent that's available, where they're from, what their age is, what they're good at, whether it's pitching, hitting, all that kind of stuff. Links their social media so we can go look at them, see what kind of like vibe they have. And we've known Longman forever. He's been in our first ever tournament we did in Ohio, like the Cedar Point Slugfest in 2017, I think it was. So we've known him for a very long time, watched that guy grow up. And he, of course, we always have teams contact players and they're interested in selecting them, saying like, hey, are you interested? Would you be down to do this? We play this often. This is where we play at. Can you make this trip? Blah, 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 that kind of thing. And at first, I think Longman was a bit hesitant, like, I don't know, I play football, I'm not sure if it's going to work out, that kind of thing. And there was other guys in his circle as well that there was some slight interest from other teams too. So some of those messages went out. And then Longman came back later and was like, oh, I actually think I would love to give myself a shot in this league. Like, if you still want to draft me, I'm totally down, that kind of thing. So we gave the Preds the green light on that, saying, yeah, he's interested in playing. We think he'd be a good fit for you guys. He can pitch really well. He's a good hitter, played at our tournaments for years, like seems to like the game a lot, competitive guy, good spirit, that kind of thing. So he had like our blessing from Kyle and I. But unfortunately, football did end up getting in the way. He put a lot into it this summer, and I think he was doing camps and just practicing every day, training, that kind of thing. So unfortunately, just, things in his personal life changed, so he hasn't made it to the Meadows at all. I think, too, which is a bummer. I don't know if this is true, but I've heard this. No idea. I don't follow him on social media, but I heard he tore his ACL, so I feel really bad.
That's what Warda told me. So, I mean, I assume he told Warda, because Warda told me.
I heard it from Warda, too. But so that's also a bummer. So he is, like, done for the year, guys. Unfortunately, he's hurt himself. I think he's done with football and wiffle ball. But so that one was kind of just a tough break for the Preds.
Yeah.
But it looked worse than it was because of the Hawley selection last year. This compounded with that has been a tough look for the Preds organization, I think. So I do expect them to make a selection in next year's draft / waiver wire thing that we're transitioning to. So
yeah, no, I agree. I actually like. I mean, most people probably know that Rudy, like in baseball, is a freak at baseball. So like I didn't hate that pick at all. Like I assumed it would translate from baseball to wiffle ball like it does for most guys. And maybe it's just taking him a little bit longer to finally get acclimated.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, I agree. But let's get into this week's comment of the week. This one's interesting, Chadwick. Comes after you a little bit. Not really, but your team as a whole. But I think it's a fair thing to say just based on this year's performance. And they said, the Gators just don't have a nail-in-the-coffin type of player. I think Cheetam and Jorgie are great. Chadwick is good, but every other team has the one guy who can completely just win a series by themselves. Definitely interested to see how they proceed with this roster. Do you agree with that? Disagree with that? How do you feel about that comment?
100% agree with that. Yeah. I like
I
we
mean, it is
don't
a
we
team
just
game.
we've been talking all year. Like we have a bunch. We have, in my opinion, really good number two pitchers, and then
Hmm.
three guys that can be really good two or three hitters in a lineup.
I got to think to really a lot of teams saying like everyone has a player who can carry. I mean, I would definitely
Mhm.
categorize Robles as that guy for us when he can do it, on the mound at the plate. You got Cratch on the Preds. You got Schultz on the Cats.
Dallas,
Eagles, Dallas is pretty good on both sides of the
yeah,
ball. D-backs, you got Norp,
the Magic.
Magic.
They have RJ
Magic are
and
kind of playing like a team. I mean, they have RJ and
yeah,
Grant, the 1-2 punch, but they don't really have
yeah,
that double way player right now. So
no,
maybe an outlier to that statement.
yeah.
And then the Cobras. I mean,
Like last
last
year,
year
it was like
Barron kind of carried, I
Barron.
guess.
Like
Yeah.
if you scored one run last year, you'd win the game with Barron on the mound.
So you think this is more directed at pitching? Is how you interpret it? You think pitching is massive?
Yes. I
Yeah.
think so, because if you look at our team stats, I was looking at them before. Now they're a little inflated because of the shellacking that we put on the Magic in game one of the season. But like we're just about top three or top four in every single statistic hitting wise. It just came down to not getting the big hit. But pitching, I don't know if we had more than one or two shutouts the entire year.
I was just gonna say it. Shutouts are huge
Yeah,
because
like
runs are hard to come by in wiffle ball, and even if your ERA is like somewhat low,
yeah,
it's better to it's low key better to have just a bad game and get it out of your system or give up 6 in one inning or whatever than it is to consistently give up 2 or 3 a game. You know what I mean?
yeah. Like
Like
I think
the shutouts are huge.
Chris's four of Chris's like I love Chris. He pitched well this year, but four of his five starts he allowed between 2 and 4 runs. And Jorgie was a little better. Like he'd either allow 6 or he'd throw a shutout, but it just wasn't consistent enough with our batting wise. But yeah, we just didn't have that dude that could really put us on his back for a whole series.
That's fair. That's what you kind of need. But the question
Yeah,
is,
and
what do you got to give up to get that guy? That's what I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to that
I
question
don't
yet.
know. I'm gonna have to
Because
hit the
like
weight room.
even yeah, I mean I think it'll really come down to a couple things I think for you guys next year. I think number one is you do have to put in individual efforts to improve, which you guys
Yeah,
did in the offseason. I know Jorgie did. I can see it. I know
yeah,
I've heard you guys have been practicing and stuff like that. So that factor's already there. And I think that would be magnified a bit if you did have that stud to like be
yeah,
comfortable behind. But so I think that's part of it is just individual improvement. I think that's been a big part of our success in the Mallards is that I did get better since we had our
yeah,
own 4-11 season or whatever it was. Number two, I think would be you kind of need to get lucky a bit in a draft pick because I don't know what you can really give up unless it's like you guys make moves for like way in the future, do some crazy things, which could happen. But a draft pick is always a chance, right? You never even know, even at
yeah,
number one overall, like who you're really going to get and how they're going to play. I mean, Grant's panned out pretty well. Jordan's been great and getting better. Jorgie's been solid, number one pick. Barron's kind of had a great year last year, a little bit slower of a start this season, so we'll see how
hmm
he progresses over time. But there is a little bit of, I mean, it's luck and skill. It's drafting well, but also just a player turning into what you think he can
yeah,
be. So it's going to be figuring out like which spot do you need to trade for, and at that spot, what kind of value pick can you get? Because I don't think that even if you give up Jorgie or you give up Cheetam or if you leave, I don't know that the Gators are going to be able to just like totally flip this team around in 1 year. I think a little
no,
bit of luck's going to have to be involved. Just like for the Magic, how RJ turned into this amazing pitcher that
yeah,
we thought he'd be good, especially in a couple of years, but we had no idea it'd be like this right away. So I think if you can improve as individuals that stay on the team, as well as if new guys are brought in, whether through draft picks or trades, I think there's got to be just a hint of luck there as well if you want to be a top team next
yeah,
year. I think it might take 2 years. We'll see. I don't know. A lot can change in a year in MLW, so I can't really say for
yeah.
sure. But so it makes it fun.
No, I agree. I agree. Going back to the very first thing you said real quick about like us putting in work, I've seen
Hmm.
probably like even on the Instagram post today that was made about us, like two
Oh
or
boy,
three,
you get
like
shredded.
well, we were getting shredded, like shredded. Me especially because of what the Gators gave up for me, but more
Hmm.
specifically, like I saw comments like, oh, like they just really don't want to be good in this league. Like they don't care about winning in the MLW. Like it's just a bunch of friends hanging out on a Tuesday night. Like guys, like do want to win. Like, we actually do put in work in the off season to get better.
They
Just wanted
do.
to put that
I
out there.
remember.
Yeah, like we do actually want to be good. Like we actually do try to get better.
The effort's there. The heartbreak is there. The emotions are
Yeah.
real. I'll tell you that. Chris, like, cause Chris is so candid with his emotions. He cracks me up. Like, he's good comic relief, I think, for you guys as things are going downhill for sure.
Yeah, you should see sometimes like after like a series like how negative and
I
down
can't imagine.
he is. He is like I swear to God, you would think that he's I don't even know. I don't even know how to describe it. It is such a sad scene in our Gators group chat after some
I
of these
bet.
series.
Well, at least you guys talk. I think when it was sad scenes amongst the Mallards 2 years ago, it was pretty much just like dead in that group chat post game. I wasn't saying nothing to anybody. I was like,
Like we
well,
would
that
try.
sucked. I'll
Like
just go home.
we'd have Jorgie like with his temper. He'd be like kind of like not like getting mad at us, but like he'd be like angrily typing like messages in his
Hmm.
phone. Then you have Chris on the other side. He's like, dude, I just suck. He's like, I'm
Yeah, that's what
washed.
cracks me up. I
Yeah.
can remember against the Eagles, he's like, dude, he's like, I don't know, man. He's like, I've been working hard. He's like, and I felt so good coming into the year. We put it up on the Magic big time. He goes, I might have to hang it up. Like, I just don't have it. And I'm like, Chris, come on, buddy, reel it in.
He
It's
told me
like middle of the game,
last,
he's saying this. I'm just dying laughing because he had a rough game. This is against the Eagles. I'm talking about. He had a rough series, a lot of
last,
strikeouts, and you could see him get like he was swinging and missing, just like
yeah.
shrugging it off. And he come back to the bench. He's like, I just don't have it anymore, man. I'm like, Chris, come on, keep that head up. Let's go.
It was like last week we were talking about it, and he's like, "Dude, one more bad year, I might be gone." I'm like, what are you talking about? One more bad year, I just don't
Oh
know if
my
I can do
gosh.
it again.
It's hard, man. It's very, very hard. I shouldn't say very hard. I've done many harder things in my life, but
Yeah,
it's not fun, when you do try and you go out there and you make the trip and you look forward to a series for, 2, 3 weeks sometimes.
yeah,
When you go out there and you lay an egg, you got to sit and live with that for another 2, 3 weeks and then live through it again when the video goes out. You know what I mean? Having a bad series is bad enough, and then the video going out is like
yeah.
an extra slap on the face after everyone
Yeah.
sees it again.
Wiffle ball is one of those sports is when you're down, like they just kick you. Like you'll like for example the Diamondbacks. Like I was in like an 0 for 10 rut, and then Jimmy came up and threw me 3 drops in a row, and the one where I go sweet at bat. I was in like an
Yes.
0 for 12 rut, and he just drops in 3 drop balls, and the last one hit the top of the pipe. I'm just like, dude, what are you
That's how it
doing?
goes, dude. That's all you can do is walk back to the bench and say, man, this is not it for me right now. This is
Need some
not it.
time.
But I don't know if this is true for you guys either, but I was saying the video's extra slap in the face. I wouldn't say for me, I wouldn't say it's because of the comment section too much. It's more so like
Yeah.
my friends, which are some of my closest friends, but you know who you
Yeah.
are, the ones who text me. Like, they'll just like start trashing me. Like, they'll text me like, dude, what were you doing out there? Like, this, like, you should, like, and I'm like, shut up, man. Like, come on, I don't need this from you. You're supposed to be my friend. But that's always annoying to deal with,
Yeah, I'll
too.
fill you in a little. See, Chris hasn't watched a series since the first series of the year.
Oh, I'm sure he had that Magic game one on loop,
Yeah.
100%.
He hasn't watched a second of our series since the first series of the year. Yeah,
It's not fun watching yourself strike out. I can tell you that right now. I've been playing this game
yeah.
long enough to know
We
watching
we
yourself strike out or make
yeah.
errors. Like, if I was Chris, I don't know if I could stomach that error against the D-backs, to be honest, ever.
We
I
were
think he could go to his grave without watching that and be totally fine.
yeah we were in Nashville when that video dropped, and Jorgie's always like, dude, come on, let's watch the video. Like, let's
Yeah.
go. And me and Chris are just sitting on the couch in Nashville, like. Why are we watching this right now? Like all of our friends are outside. We're
Yeah.
just like sitting there. We're just like, why do we have to watch this video?
I wasn't even looking forward to watching the Mallards D-back series when I didn't get any hits, even though we swept them. Like, it's not fun watching yourself struggle, even though my team won. So, something
That's
to think about,
facts.
too, as a fan.
That's
I don't think
facts.
fans probably think about that too much, what it's like for us when the videos come out, not from just the comment section, but for us personally watching it, as well as family, friends, people that actually know us and can contact us directly, where we can't really avoid it
Yeah.
as easily as the comment section. You have your friends in your family or your friendly group chat being like, dude, you're terrible. Like, it's never too fun.
Luckily, all of my friends play in the league, like my main
Yeah.
5 friends. So it's a lot easier.
Most of my friends don't say anything, but I have a
Yeah.
couple. You know who you are if you're hearing this. I don't think they will, but Anyways, Jason, I don't want to harp on you too much anymore. It's been a funny episode, but probably not super fun for you to talk about your miserable season as a team for sure.
Whatever.
That's how it goes, man. Just what's another injury?
It's easier
what's
the second time around.
One more sprinkle of salt in the wound.
Yeah, it's easier the second time around.
How about round 3 next year? Is that even livable?
Let's not get there yet.
Let's hope we're not having this conversation next year.
No, I really hope I have something to play for at this point.
I hope you're not in Cabo by week 1 of the playoffs next year. That's for sure. Or Bali, wherever you said you were.
Yeah.
But, anyways, Jason, appreciate it. And thank you so much to everybody tuning in. Really appreciate it. I picked out Jason Chadwick's gift for his girlfriend in New York, and we'll see you all next week. Pipe it up.